The saga continues. Alright, I don't know who this guy is, but this popped up at the top of my regular feed, not my subscription feed, right? And apparently Andrew Callaghan has put out a response video. So I'm going to live react to it because I'd like to see, without trying to take this guy's commentary to heart, and just weigh everything with some, grain of salt, and try and not make any snap judgments, but just sort of analyze it logically, right?
Right away, a lot of people have pointed something out that they're not a huge fan of. Andrew posted his response on his channel, which at the time of his posting only had 600 subs. So a lot of people thought that this was kind of scummy to try and post this in a place where most people in his main audience wouldn't see it. I'm a little conflicted. I don't know how I fully feel on it, because I get why he wouldn't post it on his main channel, even optics aside. It's because his channel, a lot of people aren't there for him. They're there for the people he interviews.
Right, exactly. So it's a separation of things. This is something that's happening in his personal life versus his professional work. And so, yeah, it would make sense that he would post it in a different place, because otherwise you're bringing all your personal shit to your baggage to what is a professional scenario that includes other people. Other people are employed too. So it's not the appropriate thing to put it on one of those channels instead. This is a personal situation.
He is the face of it, but he's also not the personality driving it either. So maybe it'd feel out of place or something, but clearly the main reason that someone wouldn't post it there is because he doesn't want the main audience to know it. To take some level of accountability, but also not let his audience know about the allegations.
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but there is a separation between your business life and your personal life. And he probably does have a lot of audience members who are unaware that this is happening. Because it's not as far as I know, it's not like the victims made some sort of press statement in the news. They've taken to social media and become social media warriors with their story. So there's a lot of things that are lacking in this, of the regular decorum of announcing that you have a claim against somebody. And that is one of those things. It's not like it hit national news that way. It's hit the live stream network of news, independent media news, which, let's be real, they don't exactly do their due diligence of investigating stories, right? So right now this is still just an internet thing, and it's not actually, as far as I know, it's not actually being covered in the news.
So I'm kind of split on where I feel there, because he's just not the personality behind Channel 5.
Okay.
Did he post it on his Instagram? Because I didn't see it there. Exactly. The main channel's more of a show than a personal one. But I think it would have been in good taste to, fully take it on the chin in front of, the people that supported you the most.
Well, to do that, he would have had to collaborate with everybody else at Channel 5 to come up with what they all felt was appropriate. So this is much more raw of just him speaking, which might be better for us anyway to be able to evaluate what is happening here. If it was done as a collaboration with Channel 5 or the other one, or whatever else, then it would have been very polished and reviewed by lawyers. And maybe this has too, who knows, let's see.
So he did post it on his Instagram and linked the video. Okay.
Alright, I never thought I'd make a video like this, but
oh, the volume, come on, man.
There's an important conversation to be had, and I just want to be fully accountable, honest, and transparent with all of you guys. So I'd like to start by thanking every single person who's came out in the past week to speak about different ways in which my behavior has made them feel uncomfortable or pressured during a sexual situation, and to people who said that I've made unwanted advances and had a hard time with rejection. I'm sure this was not easy to do. It's never easy to speak out, and it was hard for me to hear as well, because to be honest with you, up until this point, I didn't even really realize that I had this pattern.
I've turned it up as far as that'll go. It's just really kind of quiet. I mean, he's recording in a hotel room, clearly, so it's not the best quality. This is Andrew of Channel 5. I'm sure all of you know Channel 5, formerly All Gas, No Breaks. He's got the HBO documentary out.
Yeah, but couldn't you have handled that ahead of time? Like, if you were going to review this, couldn't you have, like, adjusted the volume for us in advance? Like, I would have. Had I seen it, I would have covered it without, overlapping on your channel to do it. Had I seen it, had I known where it was, I would have covered it myself, but I would have adjusted the volume before doing it.
This place rules. I have sung his praises for years. I think the content he has made is some of the best when it comes to, like, journalism. It's extremely entertaining, usually even pretty insightful in some cases, and just downright interesting. So when all of the allegations about his, like, pattern of sexual misconduct that ranges from potential assault, harassment, the inability to handle rejection, this kind of shit that stems back years. Once all of that came out, that hurt to see. That really fucking hurt to see. So this is his response to all of it. I haven't watched it yet. I haven't really seen too many people talking about it yet, so I don't know if it's like a good response so far. I'd say, like, that's a pretty strong start, immediately addressing the victims and, like, how difficult it is to come out about something like this, because as much as people like to deny it, it is hard to come out about something like that, because all you do is get shit on by the fans of the person that you're talking about. Everyone likes to say that it's a clout-driven move, but the only thing that happens is you get shit on forever. Like, literally forever. You gain nothing. You just get shit on endlessly.
Alright.
Thanks for the 5 gift subs, Maple. The resub Equestrian, Orphan, and the Tier 1 Happy.
Are we going to move on?
It had affected multiple people. I'd also like to apologize for my silence. I think that when this stuff first came out, I was in a state of denial and shock. I was, just riding the high from my movie that just came out, and then within 48 hours, I was denounced by my closest collaborators, and my name was printed in 40 different news outlets next to the words sexual misconduct, and I just kind of spiraled into a mental health crisis. I'm okay now, but I don't really think this is about me. This is about the people that I've affected, so I just want to express my complete sympathy, respect, and support for anyone who I've done wrong by, and I really want to do better.
Okay, so he's taking ownership that he was pressuring these girls or pestering these girls or doing something that would make them feel as though they needed to perform for him in situations where they did not want to. So he's taking ownership of that. And kind of like what Michael Richards said, that if in fact he was misbehaving with these women, that he is young and he can potentially learn and grow from this experience. I don't think anything he did is going to be, career-ending sort of material. He sounds like, from the descriptions of what these ladies are saying, he sounds like he's a dirtbag. He sounds like he was pressuring them. But it sounds like they also were participating and allowing a lot of this to happen by not just cutting him off, Don't get in my car. Don't come home with me. Don't get in my bed, Things like that.
And be fully accountable for everything that I've done. So that being said, I want to make a few things clear. I've always taken no for an answer. As far as consent, I've never overstepped that line. But, I think...
Okay, so he's also saying that while he might have been somewhat pushy, he did respond to no. And that's consistent with the second, more severe allegation, where she said no, and he left the car. He left the vehicle.
I want to have a more nuanced and important conversation about power dynamics, pressure, and coercion. Because, you know, like I said, I think for a long time, I was behaving in a way that I actually thought was normal. I thought that, you know, going home from the bar alone made you a loser. I thought that persistence was a form of flattery. And I thought that, you know, if at first somebody was reluctant, you know, they're playing hard to get, just try harder. And if you think someone's feeling you, you know, make a physical advance. And
Oof, yeah, that is a pit right there. That is like some old.
Yeah, I mean, that's really old school thinking, but also it makes me wonder if, like, what sort of male influences he had in his life that he ended up arriving to that conclusion that that's how you treat women. That's, was he from a broken home, or did he have, like, a father in his life that actually was encouraging him to become this sort of man? A little scary, you guys.
Reddit shit. I think that one of the worst things you can do is be like creepily persistent about things. Eek. Oof. Thanks to the resub, Daddy in the Prime, nope. I mean, he seems like he's being very honest about this. He was one of those creepy guys about, like, can't go home alone, gotta be extremely persistent, and then if you get the idea that they're into it, you start getting, like, touchy with it. All of which is terrible advice that I remember back in the day Reddit used to kind of preach, back when pickup artists used to astroturf some of the big subs. And then you just fall into a situation like this here. Yikes. Thanks to Tier 1, ka-chow. The Prime flight used to be normal behavior. It never really was, though. Even when I was in college, which is, and this is upsetting to think about, which was over 6 years ago now, even back then, no one, or at least none of my friends, were like that, and actively made fun of dudes that were. So it really was just kind of this thing that started on the internet, and, like, lived there, and I guess some people grew up thinking that it was normal.
No,
Because I never saw that in the real.
it was never normal. I mean, this kind of shit has happened to me all the way back to when I was a teenager. Even before that, like, I was being catcalled when I was in junior high. But, yeah, we all have lots of stories. We all have lots of stories. I mean, one of the scariest for me was when I was at a punk club in Lake Forest watching my friend's band play. I had some platform boots on. I was standing next to one of my girlfriends, and a bouncer came up behind me. He had to have been like 6'4", 6'5". He was huge. Huge dude. And he kept trying to hit on me. And I finally turned around and said, "I'm sorry, I'm not interested." And then he started pushing me on my shoulders and yelling, "You're 86th." And he threw me out of the club. I almost fell over because I was in my platform boots. And so I got my friends in the band to get the manager to talk to me. He told the manager I had slapped him, and that's why I was 86th. He fucking flat out lied about this scenario. And so there are some persistent, creepy dudes who will throw fucking tantrums if you turn them down.
World. At least not with my group. Or anyone that I knew. Thanks to Prime Shogun and the Resub Void. You see, in the real world, if you take a look and listen, I'm not doubting that it exists. What I'm saying is it wasn't, like, normal, at least never from what I saw. Like I said, we used to make fun of those people. Even my friends who were in frats used to make fun of dudes that did that. And again, this was over 6 years ago now. Well, actually, it's 7 now.
At the party where I was accosted just a couple weeks back on December 30th, when I was accosted by the Feel the Burn Dem Club of San Fernando Valley chair. accusing me of bringing forward false allegations against the fellow who sexually harassed me, who is featured on state and national Our Revolution calls. Tim Johnson Cotran, who I've been to court with twice now. During that party, as a completely different thing that was going on, I had a guy kind of like following me around and talking to me a lot. Now, he was not pushy like this guy. He wasn't, but he wanted me to go home with him, basically, to Westwood. And what I heard later is that his friends call him thirsty. And so I think that's the term you're looking for here, is this guy is thirsty. And he doesn't know how to just have normal, respectful interact. And it's kind of shocking, too, because, like, being as famous as he is now, like, he had a little bit of fame before, I guess. Like, I had never heard of him, but he already had, like, a lot of connections in the live stream world. He had a channel. He was producing content. People knew who he was. So he had enough going for him that he shouldn't have had to feel like he needed to be this pushy. But apparently he wants it every night, right? So there might be like some sort of sex addiction going on here too.
Since it's 2023. So I really just feel like it just kind of blossomed from the whole, like, terminally online shit of people thinking that it must be normal or a good idea. But you admitted being super cringe in college? Not this kind of cringe, what are you talking about? And that was my freshman year when I was a mysterious anime character. My cringe was from the refusal to speak to people and being, like, genuinely weird and uncomfortable to be around. Thanks to Prime Weed. And my friends certainly weren't cringe. That was just me. I had to learn from them. I had to suckle on their bosom to learn how, like, socialization worked.
Wow, I don't know that I would have necessarily used that euphemism in this particular situation. Maybe not the best choice of words.
Thanks to the bits aid.
Oh my God, even.
See if they go with it. And I think that, especially I realized when so many young people, especially young men, rushed to defend me when this stuff first started coming out, that this type of sex pest behavior is normalized. And a lot of people think this stuff is normal when I don't think that it is. And I think that I want to be fully responsible for...
Maybe I'm in a bubble. I've just never seen it as normalized.
Of consent.
Those people always get made fun of.
Two-way consent looks like. That being said, a lot of the things that have been said online about me are not true. A lot of things are missing really important contextual information that I think would change people's interpretation of a lot of these situations, but I'm not here to invalidate anybody's lived experience. If you feel pressured, that's just what it is. I hope that young people and young men in particular can use my mistakes to learn and move through life with a better understanding of consent. As far as what I have planned, I'm not really sure what comes next. I mean, obviously, reporting is my one true love, and I'm 25 years old, and I have my whole life ahead of me. But I really think that I need to do some serious work on myself and figure myself out. So I'm going to start therapy sessions pretty much immediately. Also, not to blame alcohol, but I truly believe that alcohol was a contributing factor to my poor decision making. And I think that alcohol in general has had a devastating impact on my life. So I think I'm going to make the decision to join the 12-step program for Alcoholics Anonymous. And during this journey into sobriety, I want to take a serious step back from public life. And like I said...
So I guess the question would be, if he takes these steps to improve himself, figure out if he's got a sex addiction, figure out, like, how to better relate to women, and also becomes a recovering alcoholic, right? Will these women accept that he has acknowledged their concerns and is going to make the changes? Or are they going to still pursue him for money? That's the big question here. Is it still a shakedown, or is this what they want to see, that he's not going to hurt other people? Let's see what happens here.
Figure myself out. And I hope that this reaches the ears of anyone who's felt affected by me. I'd love to reach out to you, or you can reach out to me, even just for me to say, I'm sorry. And I really apologize, and I appreciate you all.
Oh, by the way, that was another thing that struck me as very odd. That the first person who came out contacted him directly. Not through an attorney, not through a surrogate, but directly. If you're scared of somebody, why are you still contacting that person directly?
I also want to apologize to my closest collaborators, my friends, my family, and people who will have to wear this stain on their career forever. You guys don't deserve this, and I love you guys. That being said, if you never want to watch Channel 5 again, I understand. I hope you remember the missions of radical empathy and media literacy that we have tried to put into the world through our coverage. All right, that's all I want to say.
Radical empathy also applies to the women that you're interacting with. And that's where you fucked up, is that and a lot of progressives actually fuck up this way too. Is that they're looking at the problems of the world and they're like, yeah, but women don't really count, right? The way we treat women doesn't really count. It's not in the same context of Black Lives Matter or, protecting immigrants from being deported. It's not on the same level, right? Except that women have been mistreated for thousands and thousands of years. And it is actually a very important topic that progressives are like, whatever. And, me too, have experienced it. That y'all just don't even care. You think it's cool if Tim grabs my ass and asks me if I love him, right? If he grabs the back of my hair while I'm driving and pulls my head back, that's all good, right? That's all good. If he calls me at 3 a.m. and tells me that, he's had a sexual experience in exchange for some sort of illicit drugs, which he did not specify, but that was the story he told me. I don't even know if it's true or if he was just trying to manipulate me to come back. I don't know. But there's an entire network of people who totally believe my dude. The dude who came after me. Y'all still believe him. 5 years now of harassment at political events, candidate houses, central committees, conventions, fundraisers. 5 years of fucking harassment.
Well, as far as responses go, he actually did pretty much everything you're supposed to do. That was like an actually pretty mature response to the whole situation.
Alright, I'll stop there because I don't know what he does with the rest of his time here. But if that's the whole statement, that's all I really wanted to cover anyway. Yeah. It was a pretty mature response. I think he actually, I hope he consulted with an attorney first because he gave up some positions. He kind of put himself in a place where he could potentially get sued. Because it can be interpreted as an admission of guilt. But at least I think what he was trying to do was offer some level of, I see you, I hear you, I accept accountability for what you're saying. And so hopefully that'll give some relief to the victims. Now let's see how bad it gets. That's the next step is, are they actually going to sue him for it? And what would a judge consider reasonable in these circumstances? Because a lot of what he's doing is just dirtbag behavior. It's not on the same level as some more extreme stuff. Like, for instance, in my case, there's nothing, I'm not going to get any money out of that guy. Just because he grabbed my ass and made me uncomfortable. I'm not going to get any money out of that guy. I can't even get the organizations around me to acknowledge that he mistreated me. You know? Let's see where it goes.